Wholeness and balanced vibration to everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of Astral Quest. We're definitely on episode 7 now. It's just an amazing time. We're going to be bringing a great deal of information to you today, just about everything, and we're going to definitely be collecting a lot of the information that we've talked about for the last few months and really start to expand ourselves with it, because of course we're sitting right here on a full moon, somewhat. I think it's almost full. It's definitely February the 24th, 2013, and we're speeding through time, it feels like to me. It's like already 2013, here we are in February, the months are just going by, and a lot of people are expanding, and then of course there's some people who are contracting. So we definitely want individuals to see the difference today and to start making the decision for themselves about, what exactly they want to do in this grand limitless experience. And it's interesting because the term contract is actually a legal binding of some nature, if you really just look into the terms of the word. So when we talk about contraction, it just means that the more that out of desperation you choose to align with certain energies, then there could be a hold on your personal expansion and through this next level of reality. So it's very simple. I'm going to talk about very simple things today. I'm going to get into frequency a lot, and we're going to talk about how it is very simple that you will never realize a high frequency, fully harmonic environment until you become that. It's not something that can really be felt unless it's actually inside of you. So everything on the external world will love to promise that to you, but never be able to deliver it fully if they're not talking about internally, or what we call understanding, so internal expansion. And so all the stuff that you see in the reality, external reality, is what you're supposed to be putting here. It is your external manifestation of your creation. So it's important that you're doing that for you, and you're doing things that are going to help everyone in this reality expand, versus doing it for entities or energies that have nothing in mind but your death or your fake death, faking your death. Because as immortal beings, there's definitely no death. So let me check out everything just to make sure we're crystal clear, and this message is coming through clear. It looks like everything is great. I do have some announcements before I start today's show, because some amazing things are happening. Of course, our manifestations have been able to project us into a new level of what we're going to be doing here at the Resistance. And some people say, well, did you mean to say your projections had put forth your manifestations? No, I said it the right way. You must learn now to make the movie, then write the script. You have no time these days to just sit around and study and read about what you should be doing. Because the thing is that there's a certain level of stuff that you can read and engage in, but there's a great deal of action that needs to come with that. And there's also a spiritual expansion that needs to be tied into that also. And this is how we're triangulating the situation. And I'll explain that to people, because some people say, oh my goodness, he's using Illuminati. No, what it is the way that this reality is run is that there's a triangulation on you from mind to body to soul to hold you back. So if you're talking about deprogramming, you need to understand how it was programmed. So this, of course, is the biggest thing that we want to do here, and we're actually getting the opportunity to do it. I am jubilant to announce that we will be getting ready to open up the Resistance Enlightenment Center. And that enlightenment and all of what it entails, of course, will be pushing forth a lot of documentation on that so people can read about that. And but mainly what it is teaching individuals how to do what not only I'm doing now, but also with their own spin, to be able to operate certain programs such as the video editing software, to be able to scan through esoteric knowledge and understand where to get it from and understand the template, to be able to clean the body and teach others how to clean the body so that they can perceive things through clear filters, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that I really am I'm super excited to be giving people the information. In addition to that, the Resistance Talent Show is also going on. It's something that's about to start. You're going to see some posts on that. And there's already some Facebook stuff on it. And you just have to contact Kishan. That's Kishuan. A-U-N. I always get those backwards. But Kishaun Dixon, or excuse me, it's just Kishan at astralquest.com. And you can get more details to what that talent show actually entails. And what we're going to do, I decided today to make as the grand prize is that we just want to at least get some individuals down here. So those who are runner-ups or come into the grand prize area of that contest in particular, they will actually get a chance to come to Costa Rica and work with us on a major project. So we really want to get people motivated to actually start doing things. And then we want, when people do things, we want them to be displayed to others so that they can see, okay, this is something that I can do. And they can also see the DIY part of this, which is the do-it-yourself part of this. Is when we teach, we'll be able to utilize all the equipment that has been purchased and all the different things that we've learned to get that to you in a hyperactive way. So there'll actually be people here that will be really utilizing this platform and some other stuff that we have. So that way, when we bring forth anything, whether it's just my message or whether it's something going on with another person's spiritual expansion, then it can be done to you in that Astral Quest style. And so everyone needs to definitely pay attention to some of the posts coming up if you can and see exactly what's in it for you. Also, I wanted to talk really briefly about some documents that have been released. And this is also some posts that'll be sourced this week. So documents are being released that there's been some type of some running going on with U.S. officials. I'll just put it like that, in a tense where once a lot of these documentations of the straw man and things that were discovered, the people who are really responsible for that have been subpoenaed, and by other courts of law that exist in other parts of the world. So this is very interesting. What you're seeing happening is that other countries that hold some level of legal control have moralistic legal moralistic legal houses set up that their judges and their lawyers go in and actually attempt to prosecute under international law individuals for crimes that they can prove if they have the documentation, etc. So it's very interesting because how they're reporting this in the news is, oh, someone's in the hospital, or oh, someone's sick, or or someone's out of the campaign, etc. But it's really that they're going through some changes. But the major part of that is that I wanted to mention, because the other stuff is really trivial. I'm sure they'll all be golfing somewhere soon. But the major part that I wanted to mention is that it shows also that because of this pursuit of the proper documentation that such things as the straw man was really going on. For those who don't know about the straw man, just Google that term, or straw man sovereign, and you'll get to the information that basically says that they've taken out ownership on your vessel or your body, and that they've been trading it on the New York Stock Exchange. They say also in this documentation that during the Hurricane Sandy, when the stock exchange was down, this is when a lot of data was being expunged, but you could never expunge that data unless the system had been completely shut down, which is almost impossible to shut down the New York Stock Exchange unless there's a force majeure or act of nature. So it definitely tells us that, and by the way, I will let everyone know there's a camera here, and I do attempt to look at it in conjunction with my notes, but we have to change up how this entire room is set up, and so that the cameras can be pointed a certain way. So just if you want to know, like, why am I turning here and kind of looking at you in the corner of my eye, is because I'm working with my notes here just so I can stay on track. But again, what's revealed in this documentation is basically all the documentations and oaths and bindings and pacts and all of the stuff that they've written up on the U.S. citizens and even some abroad, especially the Native Americans, has been deleted and depleted. And it's important for now, just like with anything, for us to start realizing, and this is just another example. I'm sure your oversoul will come up with a million examples to explain to you you're free now, that you're ready to emancipate and expand, and it's only the inclinations or the tunnels that are behind you of you not letting go of certain anchors and things and certain tubes that are connected to you from various life forms, energies, entities, etc. That's not allowing you to progress into the higher frequency, which is a harmonic. It's not what we call a higher or lower. It's actually when the both forces have merged and are now, the birth of both of those forces is now at play or at the control point. So you would see that happening anyway, despite our experiences here in the reality. We've actually come in contact with, I believe, a life form that was attempting to save its race by blending it into our race. And we inherited their idea of death. Because, of course, if another race thinks it's going to be extinct soon, then it hasn't understood completely how this entire universe is really put together. There's no such thing as extinction. There's only transition. So do see that now not even so-called controllers anymore, but basically the malevolent faction that's on the dimension that's subject to be dismissed at any point has been acting like children in the sense that what they're doing is not something that graduated beings do. So this also means that graduated beings have already done this, meaning that graduated beings had already been through the point of where they had absolute power and they started commanding other smaller beings underneath the microscope or in the tunnels. Basically going down into the timelines, into the past where nobody's discovered electricity and things like that, and then reigning amongst these people as if they're gods because you've understood that you're hyperdimensional and have a correspondent in every timeline. So if people want to understand, well, how does one get control of the past? It is by becoming fully conscious in their past life and then start running things from there with the information that they've collected from the future. And believe it or not, many of us are beginning to do that. So before we get the show absolutely started today, I want to remind everyone about the resistance directive. And let me get that up on the screen here. And the resistance directive is, of course, what we really want to embody here. And this is, of course, it enhances itself from time to time, but we want to embody to embolden the human spirit to become limitless, because you can't understand where things come from. You always think that there is a mother to something or a father to something or a big bang to something, and you can't realize what comes before that. That period before that is called limitless. So we want people to begin to expand into that because it gives them an immense level of energy to power through this sluggish, dense reality that we're in now. The second thing is to seek universal adequation for all sentient life. There is a compassion that you need to inherit in order to activate that heart chakra. And that compassion has to have you looking at the more harmonic you become, everything is on the same level because it's all contributing to life. And if we remove it for any reason, then we may face an imbalance. And in fact, with our earth being on a wobble, we have faced an imbalance because the truth has not been told. Okay, in its entirety, like by someone that is respected enough for people to say, oh, okay, thank you, Father, thank you, Mother, or now it's King, thank you, King, for telling us we respect what you say because you're the leader of this world, so that's what we believe. That hasn't happened in this particular reality that we're in, but we have to make it happen. The second thing is to be gratuitous when the event rises, considering another spiritual expansion over material gain. It's a simple formula. If you give away what you have, then it puts you in a position to get more. It's a constant cycling. So if you hold on to something, it actually bottlenecks your currency and is related to your current. So it's about where you're planting your seeds, though. And then when you reap your harvest, if it's abundant, then you keep reaping a more abundant harvest. But still consider that that is the direction. You're not to set out on any ventures that actually involve, for other people, that actually involve your own personal material gain. So remember, there's laws of physics, if you want to go to that, and laws of math, if you want to go to that, and laws of the universe, if you want to go to that, that show you how those two elements are so irate, they never really mix together. So the next thing is to reach wholeness, knowing that all is self despite any division one may face along the path. We're on the path. No one is into total, no one knows everything here, nor will no one ever convince me of it, because to convince someone or something that you know everything is to put upon them limitation. Why? Because there's no such thing as everything. If a person says, I know everything, well, wait a minute, things are constantly created. So to say you know everything would mean you need to know about every single thing that is constantly created. So there's no one here on the earth that I've met yet that can actually release such information and data. So it lets us know that this is really limitless. So we need to see ourselves on the path. And the division that we face, this is when we encounter another part of the expansive level of self of in the DNA and in all the genes and all the things and chemicals that we don't even understand yet. But when we encounter it, we still know that we're on this path to wholeness. So this has a tendency to keep you out of the fear frequency. You cannot approach all the self concepts in the fear frequency. But there's also a technique, which is you make sure that when you're observing something like the news, that you come out of the physical, emotional self and don't get on the roller coaster of them showing you all the doom and gloom and the destruction of the world. See, people take information different kind of ways. Some may look at the news and say, oh, it's all BS, and then get mad and upset about that. But now they're engaged. They may also look at the news and say, oh my goodness, this is happening, this is place, it's just like the New Testament, just like the old Revelations, oh my goodness. But it's still causing the same energy. So if you want to cut through all of this, like these kind of long messages about expansion, you just understand that the fear is the control point for them. So once you have no fear, then your frequency raises into a harmonic that they cannot reach. It is painful for them to go there. And that is a part of this conversation today, to explain to people that lower frequency beings, higher frequency is painful to them. So they avoid it. Now, that also says something deeper, because we all can attest that we've been on low frequencies before. And some of us are on low frequencies now. So when you're trying to get to a higher frequency, it may be a little painful in the sense of if you have to fast, that's a little painful. You don't want to do that. If you have to let go of certain CDs, your mind's like, oh no, come on, that's our favorite song. You see? So there's the pain in the separation, but it's not a separation, I come to tell you. It's actually a harmony. It's the blending of when the one form comes closer to the other form and then creates another entire collection of the existence. So this is how I believe we've been powering ourselves throughout the universe into more experiences, by the way. So I have some notes, okay? So I'll go with those, and let me get you off the directive here. But again, the last thing is, but not least at all, to liberate minds, bodies, and souls while continuing towards wholeness. This is a major thing, because you have to have a purpose in all this if you really want to tap into the energy sources that we're accustomed to using. They're ethereal energy sources, and I'll talk about that. Ethereal energy source. This means you can't really see it with your naked eye. I'm going to tell you when that manifests, because when you have a brilliant idea, or when you are collected maybe a large sum of money, or when you've met a female or a male that you feel is your match, that day and that moment, you're able to generate so much energy just off the idea that it has seemed to power you and push you into another frequency. Okay? So now you're seeing that ideas control frequency, so thoughts can control frequency too. From every part of this vehicle, mind, body, and soul, the frequency can be controlled. And this is why you have to make sure that there's always guardians at your gate. Meaning you as the guard at your gate of the mind, body, and soul, saying, hey, whatever you take in here now, I need to see, I need to check. Let me look. Let me look in the bag. What's all the way in there? Well, why are you acting like this? It's because we've had several breaches. We've had viruses contaminating the system. Do you know that back in the old days when ships traveled the ocean like planes do the sky now, that when a ship docked, especially in certain places, and the manifest of that ship said it came from a certain place, you could not board the land until you went to 3 weeks of quarantine. This is a metaphor also for how long it should take for us to allow certain things to board our vessel. And also who needs to walk off the deck, or what needs to walk off the plank. Meaning what we need to throw overboard in the ocean that we're cruising around in called the limitless universe. So it's going to be an awesome show today. So I explained earlier the feeling associated with abrupt frequency change, but I also wanted to talk about using other eyes to see. Because the big part of the physical game is always wanting to see something outside on the physical reality. Then you become so physically eye-orientated, you expect to see everything through the physical eyes. It's not going to happen. You see things at times in your mind when you read things. This is a simple explanation. When you go and you read something, you see something there. And so this means there's other eyes to see things. Like when you look on a TV and you watch someone and they're on the news and you're watching their face, or they're on like a program or whatever, you're watching their face, the adept especially can read that individual and look into that individual and say, I know exactly what's going on there. I'm not judging the person, but I'm basing this on millions of billions of integers, things never even been considered, mainly mind, body, and soul. What is the mind? What is the body? What is the soul like? And so that's the soul can be seen through the eyes. You can see the depth of the individual soul. You can see their physical shape, the body. Then when you hear them talk, you hear their mind. So all you really have to do is just absorb. For some individuals, it's only a small sliver of what is coming out of an individual for a certain moment, and they know exactly what frequency they're on. Okay? But these are basic principles. This doesn't mean the person is hyper advanced and now knows psycho magic and all of the crazy terms that they're giving. It just means they're actually expanding into what they're supposed to be doing anyway from a sense of our abilities. So you need to see that something occurred that began to remove our abilities. Okay? And this is very important to talk about because we're not in a reality that is benefiting off of what mankind, at least alone, has already showed that they can create. And there's free energy devices and all this stuff around the internet, and we're showing that it'll help our race and benefit our ecosystem and our environment, and etc. We can live in the lush tropics of our entire reality, eating the abundant fruits that come from it, breathing the clear air, and expanding and then projecting from here with our astral bodies. So we could be doing that, but that's not what we're doing. Why? Okay, that's what we got to talk about, because you can only talk about that when you've actually seen that that's what we could be doing, meaning you need to actually feel. In the activation, you feel what you can do. And you're like, well, wait a minute, well, we can do this? Now it's no more just someone telling you, oh, you know that we're like hyperdimensional beings and we're very expansive. We have prana and this Kundalini thing is like the chakras and wheels of time. And, we can actually go through expansion even within our mind in sub-microseconds of what it would take you to live on Earth, blah, 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 right? So that is a conversation. Someone actually needs to feel that. So in order for them to feel it, they are going to have to get to a point, like I said earlier, understanding that the physical eyes are not what you're looking for to see it with. And that also there has been a time that has occurred that has separated us or Skyped us or cut us, just as an umbilical cord is cut from our timeline. It's just, even if it's just a metaphor, even if it's just a physical gesture, even if it's just a zoomorphication, whatever you want to call it, there is some type of disconnection that people have in here. These grown adults, basically, even the child, grown adult or adept, in a case where the body that they're actually in is so far past the next level of flora and fauna. So the human being should not be acting this way based on what is encased inside of it. That's it. There's no other explanation to that. So we have to see what took us offline. And that is, in this world, the entry of gods. And some people will say, oh, wait a minute. What are you saying? I'm saying that the entry of whenever a being says, I am greater than you, I am higher than you, there's only one of me, etc., then this is division. This is Deus. This is Dios. And the reason that we know that is because our parents would approach us just as we approach our children, that you're basically a mini-me. And I'm going to raise you to even be better than I am. And that's the only gesture to something that you love. So when you don't get that, you need to understand and understand what's happening. We're under attack. But this is a silent war. These beings are sneaky. They didn't win by fighting human titans. They didn't win on any physical level. They didn't have that. What they did do was they turned everyone against each other so that they started fighting each other. Okay? This is when someone of power, that the first king, if you want to call it, start hearing the inclinations. Now, when I say the first kings, let me explain to you a segment of time. You have the first fathers, okay? The first fathers being the ones that are in the root genes of the reality. Then what you have is what I'm calling the surrogates or the synthetics. You'll learn everything about how this fake matrix is running now is off of synthetics. But it is an organic structure attempting to use synthetics. So what you have is you have this situation that has occurred where humanity has been conned to go into a fear game. But I have to talk first about the covenant. A covenant is after this session takes place, after it comes to pass, meaning after the war, there must be now stipulations to what is going to happen now. Meaning that if there's ever a war that goes on and then there's a loser, then there's stipulations put upon that loser. That is called the covenant. Now, the first part of the covenant was that we would take a king. There needed to be a demi, meaning a half human, half them, to run the planet. So that way, it's not a mental thing that keeps this king in line with these so-called controllers. It's the inclination. It's the actual genes inside the person themselves. So this brings us to a very interesting point about why you don't really see these individuals just turning the whole thing around and saying, okay, look, we can't do this anymore to humanity. We're going to have to just loosen up on all of what we're doing and just go ahead and let them implement the things and back off. And the reason why they can't do that is because they are blended with the entity that is causing the situation. It is an internal fight for them. So you have to see that there's another level to what's going on within those ranks. And this is why. I can break it down to something very simple as the medical industry and the caudacious staff. It's because the medical industry is a business. Just like any other business, it needs clients. Sick people are clients to the medical industry. So they are not going to give anything away in there that is going to make a person healthy so that they don't have to come back. Because all the beds, all the syringes, all the nurses, all the surgeons, all the doctors, all the builders, all the lawyers, you see, it's a control point in the entire structure. This false hospital or hospitality, and then you come in and they show the rod, the caudaceans, and two snakes. Snakes has never been used as a symbol of something that was not supposed to cause some level of damage to you on the physical plane. Meaning that when the symbols were showed, they were showed on an archonic level as being Jupiter and Saturn. And Jupiter and Saturn wrestling for what they're around in the middle, which is actually a bird. Meaning that in the center is what they're coiling around. They're not the center then. And what is on the center has the wings on it. That is the actual entity. And then it has an egg on top of the head. Okay, this is, of course, the pineal gland. This is, of course, the human. So what it is to choke them out. Why some people are still trying to struggle with finding connected symbolism with what's going on with the caudacious staff. But when you're talking about Kundalini moves all over the place. These symbols are not the same synonymous symbol. We just have been told this is what the symbol means. It means Kundalini. No, that's not what that symbol means. There is more than two forces that come up with Kundalini. There is a limitless force that comes up with Kundalini. Excuse me, sir. Meaning that you have to check these people at what they're saying with their limitations and their numbers. Remember, their numbers are their limitations. You study Jain mathematics and you'll see that actually they evoke Jain or the jinn. The jinn taught them the numbers. Arabic didn't start in Arabia. Arabic started over in India. over in the Vedic times, they had calculated the actual precessions of the Luciferian star Venus, but not Luciferian in the light that actually shines to brighten the way for everyone, but a light that blinds a person from the truth by hindering them. Meaning that if you have a God, you're hindered. So you see how you can back people down right away that come to you with whatever the softness of their religion that is sneaking and hiding under. See, that's why they called it wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay, they called it that because what happens is that these, as they say, the Grim Reaper, or the Grin Reaper, or Grimace, the guy from McDonald's, it will smile in your face and do what it's doing, because it knows that as human beings, when we see a smile, when we see that shape, then it disarms us. You see, so there is shape that means wholeness. And the only thing they've done is they've taken certain shapes, taken certain things about the environment that we really cherish, turned it 180 degrees, and then delivered it to us. So this is where you have to put on that extra eye. You have to look at things now from the new level of how you see things, not from your old state and still in those old grievous positions trying to look at something that is way beyond that. You have to come to another level of it and say, okay, let me get non-biased, meaning let me not be divided when I'm thinking, and now let me go into the center of myself. Okay, so now you have to discover the merging point. Now, let me show you something about this body and how this phi thing is working out, because there's some people still can't put it together and figure out how it all works, and looking at me all crazy like I'm just telling people that there's Venusians on their planet and they're not, and that's some type of fallacy. In the spiral of your head right here is the phi that you're looking for, okay? This is where the coil, as you see with a torus, this is where it comes out, and then it goes back in, obviously, under here. These are the 2 points. This, of course, the secret why they wear the kufi and why they wear these different caps here is to prevent interfacing, okay? So what you see is that also how when whatever put this being into play, this human body, when it did it on a spiral, like a bowl in itself, like a bowling. And that's the only thing that's the only way I can explain it, because that's probably why bowling is synonymous with like bowl, and bowling would be basically create a god, but then you would pin it, because there's the pins, 10 pin. You see what I mean? So all the symbolism in the games is there. But again, the spinning, right? It also, when your ears are created, it spins them. And most of these faculties that are within here are designed to pick up the spin frequency. That's how you're perceptive of this reality. That's how it's the way the body is created. It actually allows you to interpret everything a certain way. This is a key point, because different configurations, even with bodies, allow the individual to perceive something entirely different from what's here. It's not just some hallucinogenic high. What happens is that when you change shape and form, you actually see what's now corresponding to that particular shape and form in which you've shifted into. So remember, the entire expanse of what the human really is like way out there from where we're at now. So this is great. If you didn't notice, if I'm talking about this stuff and you may have a hard time catching on, or you may be right there and it sounds splendid and you're like, well, when? Still know that, because you can connect it all and see exactly how it's put together and how it works. You know that it's actually in front of you, meaning that now you're looking in front of the expanse. Do you know how expanded you feel when you sit up on one of these mountains and you look out there and you could just, if you could steal your mind, you gotta steal it back for long enough and just allow yourself to swallow all the extra talking. I wonder if it's gonna hide here. I wonder if my car is gonna get towed. I wonder if this is safe. I wonder if, mind's like kick on. But the thing is that if you could steal your mind long enough and just sit out there, you'll see that you'll expand very easy, right? We'll get some video recordings of that here soon. So now see, well, let's do this. Let's take a brief break. I'm gonna come back. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to go through my notes. This wasn't designed to be a long show today. This was designed to be a show that gives you what you need to have. Oh, actually, I do have one thing. Speaking of giving you what you need to have, there's I want to mention also very briefly to everyone so I don't miss it just by getting super excited about the show as I always do. There has been a slight cleansing delay if people have not received their cleansing kits yet. We are starting on March 11th if everyone has received their kit. So don't be thinking that if it hasn't come yet, then you're not going to be able to start the virtual cleanse with us. I know some people have some schedule constraints, but we're going to work to really facilitate everyone on this. It's just everyone is deciding to cleanse. It's not even, it's something coming right from the direct source itself. And they're saying, man, like all of a sudden there's a lot of people that have decided to actually clean themselves up. So let us all be jubilant about that, in the sense that, shoot, that means that more people are going to be actually awake and on that frequency and ready to be even taken beyond that. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment, freshen myself up just a little bit, grab some water, and then when I come forward, I'm going to go ahead and deliver the second half of this message. What I will do, though, also, I wanted to play a video that we have put together at the Resistance. Just an awesome effort. It's actually in its last stage. There's some audio mastering, but I thought it'd be something like, what do they call it? Like a sneak, a private viewing or something like that. Basically, when you show something that, unless a person is tuned into the station, they won't get a chance to see it until it's actually finished. But I'm going to allow everyone to be able to enjoy that video now. So let me go ahead and get that queued up here. Also, when we come back, I'm going to talk about some more, just the Archonic template in itself. I'm going to sum that up so that everyone is basically in the know about being able to recognize when this stuff is going on around you and how to deal with it. Okay, hold on really briefly. Let me, okay, there we go. It's going to be so awesome when we actually have individuals here with us, and that'll be able to operate things, because then I can definitely get a lot more into the depth of the message, which I would love to deliver to everyone as we continue to go on, and just get more people into the actual feeling that's accompanied with this expansion, and also in the direct detail of what to do daily. What is out there to benefit you from the alkaloids and different things that we've discovered, and how you can get that implemented, how to use that. So our entire Astral Quest platform is going to be designed around us just expanding in so many areas. It's not even just the Astral Quest Studios. It's not just the Astral Quest Interactive Enlightenment, the Astral Quest software platform, etc. It's multiple arenas, so everyone will be able to find something that they are able to vibe with. And so let me go ahead and get this started for you. Awesome. Wholeness to everyone. That, I know that was definitely a lot for people to take right now. They're like, wow, that was a lot, and that's definitely what's going on over here at the Astral Quest Studio. So we're going to be putting a lot more publications together like that. We just wanted to give people that that display to know, you know, we're here. We're going to start putting stuff together that's going to allow people to really get expanded fast about the information. We want to get, again, people to actually understand how to operate much of what exactly we're using to do things with. We want to bring people to a level where they can access the content and understand what the content means. It's just, you know, a lot. So also there was one more announcement here that I didn't let everyone know, and that is that we're aware that the actual picture library is down. I believe that there's been just some situation going on at Flickr that I haven't completely identified yet, but we're going to be getting that album back up soon. But also I'm going to include all of the new pictures, because of course I have collected a lot of new stuff since we put those albums together, and then we're going to have some individuals actually label those files properly, so it'll be like a on-the-fly source for you to go to in order to get the deep levels of imagery to whatever it is that you're trying to explain to someone. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up just today, and just by covering a couple things. One, I wanted everyone to understand something that I was really looking at. It was through a deep meditation, and I was trying to understand in this segment the nocturnal life and nocturnal animals, like the wolves and the owls and all these different emanations. And what I was showed is I was showed that when you're talking about the oversoul, the higher self, the collective form, etc., what you have is you have all of everything in this coalesce. And we'll just, again, remember that everything is continuously expanding. That's the one that I'm talking about. But all of what you know is there, just continuously expanding. But as you move away from it and down the timeline or down into the frequency, the original projection and that's about you being original. The original projection starts to send this light. And when that light stretches across, this is what creates these divided life forms. So the furthest away from the light, also called the lesser light, you have the nocturnal. You have the frequencies or the energies that exist in just lower densities and higher distortion of what the truth actually is, being able to absorb it. So that's why when you look into a lot of the occultism, they utilize the nocturnal animal symbols as a symbol of the lower frequency or the lesser light, still an emanation that's coming from the original. So it's still a part of self, but a very distorted part of self. Hopefully everyone can see that, because when you're in the collective form and you're completely aware, then you cancel out all external energies and what they may or may not stand for into all of a harmonic that is working together. That is, what are we doing right now? It's because thinking is often not accompanied with actions. And so this is how we move into the control point, is actually putting actions into well thought thinking. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. The other thing is that, you know, there is something that just directly needs to be said about the whole Venus situation. So what I've pretty much uncovered, that nobody will say, is that pretty much every religion in the world, there's only a slight variation between this good and bad side that they've actually put together, worship Venus under the symbol of the dragon or the Messiah, and nobody will just say it. Okay, and the pentagram and all of this stuff, it comes from something specific. And I believe that knowledge has been leaking out. But it always does either one or two things. And I have a movie clip that actually shows this directly. But it always does either one or two things for the individual. It makes them wholly believe in it. And they're like, okay, yes, this is the Venus, this is the Messiah, blah, blah, blah. And then they're in this full blinded belief. Or it actually turns the individual into some level of insanity or craziness. So because what happens is that if you just understand, when you put a crutch as to stabilize you, you always need to work on removing that crutch. Meaning that if you credit everything that is going on with you to something external to you, especially how you're seeing it as external and how it's being shown to you as external, and then you even allowed it to come in, like this is like an agreement that you make. You say, oh, I will sup with you. You allowed it to come in. Then this is the actual rights of what we're looking at with these type of initiations of things that are pulling away people's energy. So just to sum it all up, the entire Venusian connection here on Earth is imminent. It is something to the tune of what you would see on V, but not done in a way where these beings are any level courageous for just a simple status of their frequency. Meaning their frequency being low and them not being able to love. Remember, low frequencies, jealousy, hate, envy, they're capable of doing that. To love, it hurts them. And so thus they lock themselves out of it. They can't do it. So you have something that they don't have. Do you see? This is like the major key. Like, you can actually be happy. What they're actually trying to get you to do through the synthetics is to make you to the point where you don't have real happiness. Now, synthetics are coming from mind, body, and soul. So still realize they're not just coming from one point. But you need to actually look at how much synthetic pleasure you're taking in order to be able to fully jumpstart the organic vehicle. So this is also where the medicine and things come in, as far as mentally, spiritually, physically. The real medicine can get you onto another status with yourself. So again, this good and bad side that is created must merge. And this is why there was a split in the priesthood. Also, everyone that is following the lure of this Jupiter, Saturn alien situation, because that's also where the Venusian thing leads back to. You would ask yourself then, why is there two different sides? Why does it look like there's one that's good? Because they already realized, remember, this is not the first time they've done this to probably a planetary system, but the template on this system. But they realized that, okay, one of you going to have to become the good one. It's the same story. The son's supposed to come back. He's the king. We're going to make the son the king. because he's, of course, in our bloodline, but he's going to be down there with them. Do you see? The whole lure is the same old serpent worship lure that this planet's been dealing with since the Indus Valley. Yet the industry keeps turning, meaning that when you look at the videos, I'm not putting that stuff there just to display like all these people are going through this. Look what these people are going through. And I could just put it across a reel, man. It hurts. Like when you really look deep into what's happening in other countries, like I mean, I'm here in Costa Rica, I see busloads of Nicaraguans, like I talked about last show, just going in there, and you see them there in the dark. They're in the back of a truck. It's not, it's not supposed to happen like this. You guys don't get me going here today, but serious, like when you really look into people's eyes, if you have that heart chakra open, you can look into a person's house and you can look right through their door, and then you can feel all of the essence of what's going on in that house and in all those rooms and things. And then it's like a ping. It sends back, okay, here's a data packet basically, and here's everything that's going on. And you're like, if you have a heart, then you're like, man, these people need relief. So you see that from all sides that this has them hedged in, but you also see that the human being is a magnificent being. Human being has this frequency that is actually the love and compassion. Now, this word love, again, is hacked. It does mean Jove. It does mean Jupiter. Jupiter does, by way of Venus, Venus is actually, they say, a birth of Jupiter. It came out of that red eye. Okay, so there's a whole level of astral theology. And of course, that's really what the Astral Quest is about, because we can prove how this system set itself up in an array, this template. Every time they start dropping the pentagrams, every time they start dropping the hexagrams, every time they start putting those vehicles, because they are vehicles and there are more vehicles. But why won't they tell you there are more vehicles? Some people will swear by the tetrahedrons and things like that and then think I'm speaking of heresy. But when you really think about it, because there is something beyond the tetrahedron, why won't just the reality come directly and say there's something beyond all these geometries and straight lines? That actually the vehicles that you're rotating are actually shells that you're encased in. There is a way for you to self-substantiate. You can live without the support system that is here in this reality. You don't even need to breathe air. Some people will think that that is erroneous, but still doesn't get that how the entire body can slow down and speed itself up. Like there were wonders to what we were. Now there is only the action to allow that to be restored. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at all human races, whatever they are, Russians, whatever they are, Koreans. I'm looking at all of us sitting here in a riddle where we can't realize that it's where our checkpoints are and what we're taking in that is creating all of what we see in the reality. And then something has gotten in front of us, one wearing a crown or a clown, and started to entertain us with an idea of a way of life that will not expand and shows that it cannot expand. Now, the next level is, because it's not a game, meaning that when you see what's going on in other places, obviously it's not a game. It just hasn't come into your frequency yet. But it's happening to people that are alive and real. That's where you find your adventure. That's where, not in the comic book, not in someone's TV show, Ancient Alien or whatever. You find the adventure in you actually taking it piece by piece and start emancipating the people around you with it. Why? The real knowledge behind all this shows that all of us are inside of this. You see, look at the planet. We're all here. So that's why even in the video, I go powder, he's virtually colorless. Because in the end of all of this, which will begin the next level of your expansion, you'll see that this whole human race, all these animals and every single living thing here will come together. Those who are already tapped in can feel it. I'm not telling you, oh, this is some prophecy. No, I'm telling you, if you had chakra centers turned on and unclogged, you could feel it. There is as this magnetic force on this solar body known as the moon intensifies. For those who are now on the dark side of it, meaning that there's always pros and cons to every single component constructed as such. So if you're not sitting on the improper polarity of the lunar energy, then during these times, it doesn't mean chaotic land. It actually means full expansion. It means that you are so magnetic, all you have to do is keep the body alkalized in order to receive your personal transmission or connection with yourself. Oversoul, all is self. It's all interconnected. There's full transparency. So remember, everything that you want to hide and everything that you think others cannot benefit on that belongs to you keeps you out of the fully transparent field. And that's how it works. So I wanted to say wholeness and balanced vibration to everyone. I am going to, let me see if I do want to show these videos. Let's see here. Yeah, why not? I mean, that was part of the message today. I'm going to show a couple videos because I just want to show everyone that hasn't seen these videos what exactly is going on in these different arenas, because I think everyone knows, but it's important for them to see exactly how it's done and the symbolism that's behind how they do it. So I call this particular clip Upside Down Proposition because it's your answer to what happens when these mega stars that you think are so great don't just say, I don't want to do it, when they are at their point of getting their contract signed or whatever. It was never really an option. They felt like it was a gift to be even allowed around these people. But you'll also see how they're treated. Some people think that when you join some society or whatever, that they're going to welcome you in, brother, welcome into the light. Oh my goodness, you were out there so long. We said the doors were already open, you never came, blah, blah. You know, you're going to get in there to that. You get in there to a pyramid on top of you. You see what I mean? That now you're supposed to be a free mason or a free builder, but yet you can't go anywhere that the architect does not tell you to go. So you're not free. You're chained, like you're chained down to it. But that's what happens. There's other laws and rules to this universe, just like there's laws and rules and ways to redo things. So what's actually being offered to humanity is in the vibratory frequency, and this is just a tidbit. The vibratory frequency of the elements being birthed through water through an arc. I mean, the arc, meaning the actual light that is arc between two metals, shows that water is the birthing station. Meaning that humanity is actually on the brink of realizing that the only energy that they need to really discover is actually how to put it into their water. The water is somehow so deeply interconnected to us. It's so important that we don't not look into it. It can hold the data, but it has to be expunged. It has to have no parts per million and then work from there. 1 part per million. And we'll get more into these terms during the cleanse, but this is a major thing. We're going to, and we have bought the data that is necessary to show an individual why we are capable of doing this. So here's this clip. Upside down proposition. And that's how they feel. We're on the brink of full adaptation, meaning that we're on the brink of actually being able to fully blend our ideas into their world. I mean, it's really blatant what's taken place. So, or what has taken place. It's just now time for everyone to wake up and to undo it. So everyone needs to see that adapting the template, they don't feel happy and spectacular. Remember, happy is not a frequency that they can carry. So when a person joins their clubs or joins their groups, they don't feel on the upper levels happy that that person is joined. They don't even care. They're just gathering energy and gathering more people, gathering more, you see, wanting to control more. So that's what, that's what's got to stop and is already stopping. So it's all about vibratory frequency. When you think about going into the physical plane and actually going to attack the Martians, which is what you'll be doing, you need to really think about it again, because most of those boys come from the Lone Star, meaning that they have a big pentagram. Like, this knowledge that you're watching pass is so ancient and so many energies attached to it, you would know that you would have to manage it right away, like a like a real animal trainer, and you would have to get right into your body and actually center yourself and say, wait, what's going on? let me show you guys really who's in charge here. And that's where you get control of your body. So it looks like we got one more video going on here, and we're finished for today. And this will be Dronvello and the Archons, because it's so important to me, because these individuals have hundreds of thousands of people. And you watch the whole thing anyway, and you know that what it's all connected to when you're at the level that I'm at as far as knowledge is concerned about the template. And then when you see a person call themselves even certain things, and then you already know what they're related to, right? So it's interesting though to see where people slip up and show you that bridge. Meaning that if the person hasn't admitted fully that, okay, this is something that we've already detailed exactly how many people are involved in it, and that this is how it's been used to control humanity, blah, 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 then that means they're a part of it. If they say, oh, this is the way, this is what we all need to do, this is what you need to learn to do, without explaining to the individual all the other dynamics. Here's one of the major other dynamics to this particular geometry that they're using for people who want to know what I'm talking about. When you take on certain templates, then you are put into an arena with the energies that correspond to that template. So right off the bat, you've already gone into some type of dualistic phase. Now, this is what a symbol really does. It says, here is a piece. And that's why it's never to be looked at as more than that. That's why it's two-dimensional. Here is a piece of it. So if a person is taking the two-dimensional symbol and then saying, this is it. Uh-oh. Hold on real quick. I want to show you something. So that guy that says this is it, tell him impossible. Impossible, because what you're looking at, and this is the one I just picked up from Amazon, is Hans Jenny's Cymatics book. But when you see the complexity of the cymatic that can come forth through different designs, man, it's like somebody talking to you like tickle me Elmo when they say that this is it, and then they show you this rudimentary straight line, one-dimensional or two-dimensional shape. You see what I mean? Because it's not possible. And so what it would be is another limitation. And this is and that's why the whole Ascended Master component, the whole Pleiadian component, what you really see when you reverse engineer these kind of conversations that I'm going to show you right now, this kind of statements, is you actually see not only the confirmation of what I was talking about is true, but you also see how they have it configured. And I've also released some videos like the Jehovian template, or the Jehovian Saturnalian template, which you can catch on Vimeo. But those videos show you that they're on a template, they're on a blueprint, just like I was saying before. And this blueprint is so rudimentary and so limited compared to what we already know. You would have a problem even creating simple life. Meaning that you couldn't even manage your own life using these kind of symbols because they're for lower dimensional life forms. So if you say, oh my goodness, you're saying, yes, this is saying it. This kind of knowledge is showing this is how it works. The closer you get to the beam of the entire thing, the whole thing is going to coalesce and come back together. But you're in a spread it out version. You need to basically go that way. Like everyone you find on the Astral Quest highway is like, yo, you need to go that way. It's that way towards. Can't you feel it? Meaning, can't you feel the right direction to go in anymore? To know where you're going to find truth, which is ultimate energy? Did you not see an energy station around the corner? You saw a car energy station, like a gas station, right? Gas. Not for humans. Like the other day, man, I've been going so much. I was like, wow, it would be nice to have a human energy station. All these different places around here that they've invented. But that's about vibrational frequency. More energy means more vibration. More vibration, more positivity, more people to push the positivity into. The forms start going around, then they perfect themselves. Then you get massive things going on. So, you know what? We got to the point. And I'm excited. I'm ranting. But we got to the point where that's doable. So everyone will see it's already been done. Like that's one of the things. Like we just keep expanding this. I'll never say, and watch me always on this, never say that this is it. Like this is the final thing. There's no such thing. There's no limitations. You may finish off one subject and then merge it into another if that is a more longer path or a more longer subject. But to say that you've discovered the whole thing, it's not possible. And everyone remain like that, you remain fully charged. So last thing, the conversation. Okay, again, too limited. At the same story, the Venusian, the Palladian, the Syrian, and this, well, where are they at? This is simple what I'm talking about. Like, somebody has to talk to the major people and tell them this needs to broadcast now. Until that happens, all this power that you're talking about that you have, it's a mystery, meaning that we don't see it, but we know that the power is within. So it's no wonder, and of course there was a Ascended Master conversation before that particular clip, it's no wonder that nothing has actually occurred that is going to get humanity into an expansive level on their own. Like, not, oh, here's someone that's going to do it for you. What, so that you'll have another level to do again now. This is the last part of this conversation I want to have here to tell everyone their next move. If they get desperate, you've seen they've been inventing this, if you want to know, the major agenda is to see how much star power that they can pull. And so all these different Hollywood characters have been there, part of their experiment to see exactly how many people can they get captivated. Now remember, the medical industry is also responsible for the genetic manipulation, because that's where a lot of the chemicals that we ingest will be coming from as far as how well and fine they're tuned. So that's interesting also to know that when certain people contract diseases, that they say, oh, you have something that only 1 in 70 million people have. This was something that was brought up in a conversation I had the other day of how silly it was. But we have a special medication for you. Now, what kind of special medication? Then they always say, but it's in experimentation. It's not necessarily finished, but we could give it to you because this is the only thing. You see, so they're playing a mean game. Like, notice how people have to summon the force within themselves to actually see that this is, you could, when you oscillate through it, you could see the beauty in life, but also when you see the decay and you see the senseless decay, like when you really ask someone that is stuck into the darkness, do they really, really want to come to expand themselves? They generally don't deny it. You see what I mean? So this is not like if you go to a prisoner and you say, hey, you want to get out? He's going to say, no, man, I'm all right in here. Come on. You see, like they'll try to trick people to make people think that we'll actually, if we had a way out, we would have took it, and we wouldn't take it, right? We just know now that all these places that they're saying and all these factions that they're saying and all these religions that they're saying is the way out. If it's that way, meaning outside of you, it's a lie. The only way out is actually in. You need to go back inside. So again, wholeness and balance vibration, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Astral Quest. Of course, there'll be a lot more coming. We're going to be redesigning things. A lot of people will hear from me also, especially through the posts. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's been involved, especially in the projects that we've been putting together. And also, we're going to be taking this thing a lot more liver, so you'll get to hear a lot more about what we're doing on the ground. So thanks a lot, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.